My mother-in-law sat across from me at that kitchen table, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You knew exactly what you were doing when you married him." And she meant it as an accusation, like I had somehow engineered my own husband's death to squeeze money out of his family. Like the fact that her grandson, my stepson, got absolutely nothing and that was my fault. My doing, my scheme. So yeah, we need to talk about this. Okay, back up. My name is Dana. I married my husband, Greg, 6 years ago. He had a son from his first marriage, Marcus. Marcus was 9 when we got married, 15 now. His biological mom, Renee, has primary custody, but Marcus spent every other weekend with us, most of the summer, every holiday Greg could negotiate for. I want to be clear about something. I love that kid. Not in a stepmom trying too hard way, genuinely. We watch the same terrible sci-fi shows. He texts me memes. He calls me Dana, not mom, and that's completely fine. That's his choice, but he calls me. That matters to me. Greg passed away 8 months ago. Heart attack. He was 43. No warning, no lead up, just gone. And I know grief is not a competition, but I want you to understand that I was not okay. I am still not okay. We had a 4-year-old daughter together, Lily. I'm raising her alone now. I went back to work full time 2 months after the funeral because I had to. Greg's parents, his mom, Carol, and his dad, Raymond, they're not bad people. I want to say that too. They adored Greg, they love Lily. But they never fully warmed to Marcus, and I think it's because Marcus is Renee's son, and they never forgave Renee for the divorce. That's a whole other story. The point is, there was always a little distance there. Greg had a will. He made it before we got married, updated it once after Lily was born. I didn't think much about it, you don't, when your husband is 43 and healthy. When the lawyer sat me down after the funeral, I found out that Greg had left everything to me and Lily, with some smaller amounts going to his parents and his brother. Marcus was not mentioned, not once. Now here's where I have to be honest with myself. Greg and I had talked about Marcus and money before. Once, maybe 2 years ago, Greg said something like, "Renee's family has resources, Marcus will be okay, Lily has nobody else." I didn't argue with it at the time. I didn't push him to add Marcus to the will. I didn't bring it up again. I'm sitting with that. But here's the thing, I found out about the will contents before Carol did. And when Carol called me, upset, asking if I knew, I told her the truth. Yes, I'd known for a week. And that apparently was the crime. That right there was when she decided I was the villain. "You could have told us," she said. "It wasn't my information to share," I said. "You could have talked to Greg about including Marcus. You had 6 years." And that landed. I'm not going to pretend it didn't. Renee found out shortly after. I don't know who told her, maybe Marcus's aunt on Greg's side. She called me too. That conversation was calmer somehow, but also worse. She said, "Marcus asked me why his dad didn't leave him anything. I didn't know what to tell him. And I didn't know what to say to her either." I thought about it for 2 weeks. I talked to my own mother, I talked to a grief counselor, I talked to the lawyer, and then I made a decision. I set aside a portion of what Greg left me, a significant portion, not a token, and I put it in a trust for Marcus. Accessible when he turns 18, earmarked for education or a first home. I did it because I wanted to. Because he's Greg's kid and Greg loved him and I think Greg just didn't think it through, or maybe he thought he had more time, or maybe he made a choice I disagree with. I don't know, I'll never know. I told Carol what I'd done, thinking, I don't know that she'd be relieved, grateful even. She wasn't. "That money belonged to Lily," she said. "You just gave away your daughter's inheritance." And then her husband Raymond stopped speaking to me entirely. Just done. Won't return my calls, skipped Lily's last birthday, because I gave money to his other grandchild. Here's where it gets genuinely complicated, and where I have to put my hands up a little. The amount I set aside for Marcus? It was enough that it does change Lily's position. Not dramatically. We're not talking about Lily going without. But it's real money, and Lily is 4 and she has no father, and maybe Carol has a point that I don't get to make that call unilaterally. Greg made his will. He had agency. Maybe respecting that was actually the right thing, even if it felt wrong. My sister said something that stuck with me. "You did a generous thing, Dana, but you did it with someone else's money." And I've been turning that over ever since. But then I think about Marcus. 15 years old, knowing his dad didn't leave him a single thing. Not even something symbolic. Not a watch, not a note, nothing in the formal legal document. Whether that was Greg's oversight or Greg's choice, Marcus has to live with that. And if I could do something, even imperfectly, even out of what was technically my inheritance to keep. I don't know, I genuinely don't know if I was right. Renee actually was the surprising one. She texted me last month, Said Marcus knows what I did and that he cried about it and that she wanted me to know. She didn't say thank you exactly, she and I are not that, but she said, you didn't have to do that. Which is true, I didn't have to. Carol still hasn't come around. Raymond still won't call. And my own mom thinks I was generous but naive. My grief counselor won't give me a verdict, which is very annoying. A few weeks ago, Marcus came over for the first time since the funeral. He helped Lily build a block tower. He stayed for dinner. He didn't bring up the money. Neither did I, but when he was leaving, he gave me a hug like a real one, not the side hug teenagers give adults they're tolerating, and he said, "Thanks for having me, Dana." And I held it together until he was out the door. So here's where I land. Or don't land, actually. Greg left Marcus nothing. I stepped in. Carol thinks I stole from Lily's future. My sister thinks I got generous with someone else's money. Renee thinks I didn't have to, but I did. And I'm sitting here not knowing if I honored Greg or undermined him. Not knowing if I protected Marcus or overstepped in a way that wasn't mine to overstep. Did I make it right, or did I just make it messier? So, am I wrong here? Honestly, though, what would you have done? Comment below.